Hi, welcome to Pathfinder Mastermind. My name is Wendy Rosenthal, and I am your co-host along with the amazing Rachel Madar. Rachel, how are you today?
Hi, thank you, Wendy. How are you? It's actually, I came up from a wonderful weekend with a lot of ideas and thoughts and to-do lists for this week. So I'm excited about this coming week
I
with
love that
what
I'm
it's
one
going
of
to
your first
show.
to-do list on the week. That's amazing. It makes me
Yeah,
feel really good.
I love it. I love it. I think, we just like set it up by coincidence, but we all know there are no coincidences. But to start our week with the first proactive and productive mission, I think it set the tone for the rest of the week. So I'm happy that we have done it.
I agree with you.
So,
So,
right?
for those of you who haven't seen us, Rachel and I are Pathfinder1to1.com. We are spiritual business coaches that
Welcome to
work with,
Pathfinder Mastermind. Yeah,
well, a little feedback.
yeah.
I love these things because they never go exactly how you plan, which is a good thing, right? It's a good thing.
But this is really about life, and I think this may be our topic of today.
Yeah,
Things are
kind of
happening the way they're supposed to happen, and it's the way like is our reaction to it.
exactly. Mine is to laugh. Anyway, I just do want to get in the fact that we are pathfinders. We work as spiritual business coaches with people at all levels of their career, from the highest CEOs to entrepreneurs to people who are building their careers in whatever their industry is, to help them bridge the gap between being successful in business and infusing spirituality into that, because we really truly believe, and we've experienced in our own personal lives, that when you have that kind of base of fundamental spiritual thinking, actually, not only does your business go better, but your own personal fulfillment is higher, and you're able to share more with the people in your company. You're able to see better productivity out of your employees, and just all around, when people are happier, other people are happier too. So that's why we come to you
Exactly.
whenever we want. We don't have a set schedule, but we like to um, talk to you guys when we have ideas in our head of what can help. We like to offer tips. And we also really love to share some of the experiences that we have with our clients and what they're going through. So, one of our foundational concepts, and you can even see it on our website, pathfinder1to1.com, is the idea that the world is made up of a process. Okay. And we can incorporate what Rachel was saying earlier into this concept. But I mean, look everywhere, guys. Everywhere you look, trees grow through with a process. Babies are conceived through a process. Um, Even getting up in the morning is a process. I use this with my clients a lot, Rachel. It's
Yeah.
like you wake up in the morning, you have that moment where, like, okay, I'm up. Yay. Oh, I don't want to get out of bed, right? There's something like that stops you from making that move. Okay. Then you decide, no, 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 I want to get out of bed. And then it's a jump and a push, and you get out of bed and you start your day. Like, your body goes through a process when you're waking up. Your organs turn back on to full steam. Your body requires certain things. So even the most fundamental things that we do, it's a process. Now, the interesting, and I know Rachel's going to share more about this from a spiritual perspective, but what I have found in looking at my work is that when I start to see my work and what I'm doing in my own personal company and with the work I do with clients, when I start to see the world as a series of that world as a series of processes, it's like I almost can gauge where I am in each one and act accordingly, so that it's like I'm diversifying my reaction to what's happening. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, Rachel, why don't you tell us a little bit about, I mean, spiritually, the process that I just kind of was talking about. There's like a whole big, I mean, there's volumes, and it's not just in
Right.
one spiritual practice. I think it's in every spiritual practice. Can you share a little bit more about what, like, that phase, the stages might
I-
be?
in general, we're all born in a certain date, right? We have our birth date. And in that moment, spiritually speaking, the soul entering the current body and to start its journey, like the journey in life. And that moment in time, it's like as if we entered to this reality, or we entered to this, if we can call it like the physical realm, kind of like in the middle of a movie. Because spiritually speaking, our soul is endless from time of creation to the end of times. It's just like going through journeys, and when it's arriving into our body, we just enter into like a scene in one long movie. And the way we are approaching this life, it's kind of imagine yourself entering a movie theater. Well, they're different nowadays, but watching a movie in the middle of its like the whole story. So we're trying to think what have been going on before, what took place prior. We making determination, we deciding, oh, okay, this is what took place, and we deciding who the murderer is, or who is the love affair. And then we end up finding that we were wrong sometimes, and we saw the details different than what we have looked into them. So this is our life journey. The life journey, we're entering into this process, into the middle of literally a movie. And the whole understanding, the way we would like to approach this life, it just sometimes there are times that we need to sit back and to view how things transpire and pass by, and then make an opinion or make an action. Sometimes it's just how to find ways to connect to your inner internal messaging, if I can say, or the internal intuition, to understand what will be your next steps. Sometimes is to study before we going into making any decision, especially when we talk here about business. So it's embracing the process that sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down. Most of the time we do not know what to do. We may be guessing, or maybe we basing it on past experiences. But the idea is to understand that there's always a much bigger picture, like the movie is not yet finished, and we're in the middle of the movie in a way.
Right. But there's also, on top of all of that, which is an amazing landscape, but there is really like a process, like more specific, right?
Everything.
So,
yeah,
so like
exactly.
let's take it in the from the point of view of, like, let's say you have an idea to start a business, right? So that idea, right? That thought of what that business is going to be, and how you think about it before you actually do anything, before you see if you can set up a company, before you find investors and any of that. And just using that as an idea, as an example, like that idea is in your head. And in that stage, in that part of the process, it's unlimited, right? It's completely unlimited. It can be anything that you're thinking it's going to be. It's amazing, right? You can see it. You can even see it like 10 years from now when you've become the next Amazon, whatever your idea is, right? So in that stage, in that part of the process, like it's everything, it's unlimited, it's amazing. And that's a beautiful stage of a process in a lot of ways, because it is everything. It is already successful. You feel like you've got this amazing idea, and you feel the power and energy behind that idea. And it's funny, because in that moment, a lot of times you hear people talk about, especially entrepreneurs, like, I it's the most excited I am, because it's still in that stage, that first stage, right? That first start part of the process, right? And that you're kind of like, Rachel and I talk all the time about being limitless, right? And that stage is important.
Because there is a goal. When we talk about process, which means there's a certain direction to reach a goal, whether it's a business deal that we want to close, or create a whole new business, or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
So within this process, we kind of like on a certain path and decision and action to reach a particular goal. And when we say we embracing the process, is we know that in one hand, this is the goal that we set to ourselves, but we are open that maybe a different turn or direction will take place to reach a different goal. But embracing the process is to continue and enjoy the excitement, the enthusiasm, that initially
Right. That
brought us
initial
into this,
stage
right?
offers, right? So you have that first
Yes,
stage, right? Then you have the second
right,
stage where now you start doing. Okay, now it's like I want to take this idea and I want to bring it out and I want to start getting people involved and I want to start finding money and I want to, or whatever it is, right?
right,
The minute that
right,
action, that idea comes out of your head, you're like in the second stage of it, right? You've moved from the first
right,
to the second. Now it starts to get more real, right? Now somebody, you're going to tell somebody your idea, which was perfect inside your head, and then you tell somebody the idea that, oh, and they say, well, maybe you want to think about it this way because maybe the people that you're thinking you're going to target aren't going to be the people that will buy that, or like you're going to have people start to shape it. And it doesn't mean that it isn't your idea, or it isn't your, the contract, or the deal that you want done isn't right. It just means that now in this phase, it's kind of that it's bringing it into reality. It's going to be put under scrutiny by others. It's going to have that, it has to be shaped by the world around you. It can't just live in your head anymore, right? So in that stage, what's so interesting is it's like if you're not embracing that stage, then it
right.
means that you're pushing back on the ideas and concepts that might actually help you get to where you want to go, because they're not yours.
Yes,
So in that stage,
yes.
you have to be careful. You have to learn to embrace critique, learn to embrace the process of evolution. Like that's the evolutionary stage, right? Because in the first stage, you're in your head, it's all yours, it's the right deal, it's this. So in that second stage, it's a little bit more evolutionary. It's a little bit more impacted by others around you. It could take criticism or not, could be boosted and everybody's gone with you. But in that stage, that's where you really have to defend, right? Your idea. That's where that business, so we all have this in every stage, every process.
And it's a learning stage. As you speak, the example that comes to mind is kind of in a boxing ring. I don't know, this what comes to me, like in a boxing ring. Sometimes we go with a roll with the punches, or sometimes we are into the person that give the punch. Sometimes we are the one that's receiving the punch. But the idea, it's all about learning process and making sure that we are literally taking the moment when we getting those punches, is to receive like the power of it, like to it's allowing us like time to sit back and just for a second observe what's happening, rethink about our direction that we are taking, rethinks about the step, rethink about like who we are in this particular process. Are we making the best decision that we can make for this
Right.
stage, right? So it gives us moment to just sit and observe and rethink or rearrange our decisions. So this is
well, and that's why I say evolution. When it's in your head, when it's
exactly
in the phase, it is whatever you want it to be, in the best
yes
way, in the limitless way. In the second stage, it's now subject to external input. And the best, to me, the best CEOs, the ones that have taken their ideas to the most amazing stages, are the ones that hang on to the first stage, like their seed of their idea, but they evolve it based on the second stage, which is this external engagement, right? And they don't get upset. They go, okay, this is an evolution, we're going to evolve. The third stage is that point, and it happens. I've never talked to a CEO, an entrepreneur, a career manager, whatever level you're at. I've never talked to somebody who hasn't hit stage 3. And that stage 3 is that moment when it looks like it's all going to fall apart. And it's so funny because it can happen 20 times in a day, by the way, on different projects you're working on. Like there's always that moment where it's like, oh, the bank's not going to this bank isn't going to give us money. This investor's pulling out. This, this design doesn't work. This manufacturer can't deliver. This, the electricity goes off. I mean, it happens to everything, right? And if you see your day as a series of these processes and you understand that when you hit that wall, that is an amazing moment, right? Because that stage helps to define the success, ultimately, I believe, of what comes in stage 4, which is the manifestation of whatever it is that you're working on. So for example, if it's a business deal and in that moment, the person that you're working with all of a sudden changes the terms of the deal, and it makes you very unhappy because you're supposed to sign the contract. In that moment, you have the ability to say, this was my original idea. This is how it evolved. This is what I want. Here's where I'm at right now. I'm being stopped. So let me go back to the original idea and say, is this going to help it or hurt it? Is this blockage going to stop me from doing it or not? Is it going to help me see how to do it better or not? Is it going to help me and show my desire to actually do this? Maybe I don't really want to do this. Maybe I've just been doing the actions. Like, it's those little moments where you can reevaluate in an amazing way to help benefit what was the original thought, which was the stage 1, the evolution of it, which is stage 2. And now this is the moment that says, not only should it go forward, but do I have the desire to see it through this way? And you play a big part in that, right? Like,
absolutely. Like, everything goes into those 4 stages that you've mentioned. We need to know, like, everything is like, and from time to time we need to identify. This is like when people are contacting us, right? We identify with them in which stage they're at.
Exactly.
To know, are we stuck in stage 2? We're stuck in stage 3? How we move forward to reach this 4th stage that you're saying, to make that decision, to know, oh, okay, all of this I went through and I'm still going forward with the original idea, and I'm taking it into the next stage of it, of manifestation. Or I'm like, okay, all of this process taught me that it's not the right timing. Let's move on to another idea, and so forth.
Exactly. And if you get to stage 3 and you decide, hey, that business deal, that term isn't right, then you go back to stage 1, and that's fine. Now the stage 1 after that one is, okay, let me find somebody else I can do it with. And that's the limitless. Oh, there must be 25 people I can do this deal with. And then you start again. But it doesn't mean that because you didn't get past stage 3 that it is bad. What it means is that's where you're at, and it helps you to assess whether or not if you're going in the right direction, if you have a passion for it, if you want to do it. And then that moves to stage 4. And stage 4 is that it's manifested, right? It becomes real, it becomes, this phone becomes a product, and within that level of manifestation, there's hundreds and thousands of these processes, and everybody's going through a different stage of it at different times. So it sounds like it's really overwhelming, but actually the trick is to understand and what's going on in your world, what your process is, and where you're at in it. So for example, if you have 3 projects going on, right? Project 1 might be in stage 2. Project 2 might be in stage 1. Project 3 might be in stage 4. Like, understanding where you're at in all of those stages. And again, it repeats. It's not like it's only once, because obviously things take time to actually happen. But when you start to see it, then you almost can plan your day. Like, I literally have had clients, Rachel, that I tell them to make a process calendar so that they know, right, that the minute something is stuck over here, they're in stage 3 and it's frustrating. Hey, okay, it's in stage 3, it's frustrating. Give it a minute, focus on stage 1 for your other project, because that's where you are on the other project.
Exactly.
And it's amazing how it also helps to even out your level of frustration, because, stage 2 can have a lot of frustrations too, because that's where people are, you're out in the world getting feedback, which sometimes can be frustrating, right? So it helps you also manage your internal emotions about things. If you're in stage 1, where there's usually lots of excitement because it's limitless and it's fun and you're coming up with ideas on one project, and you're stage 3 on the other, then you can take a break from stage 3, go to stage 1 in your other project and feel like, oh, breath of fresh air, right? If you're in a place where you're almost ready to manifest, that's so exciting too. So like you can focus on that. We're almost there, right? So it's a way to also kind of manage your own internal process that you're going through as you're building your career.
Just to understand, it's all really, it's such a cliche to say it's a learning process, but it is.
Yeah.
Because we learn from one thing to another, and then I'm keep coming back to the word embrace. I even wrote for this I got this shirt, embracing.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know you were wearing that.
Yeah, because I chose it for this conversation. It's really all about embracing, and embracing is really about when we embrace the process, as you said. It's which means we are allowing ourselves, and we committing to this process. We're allowing ourselves to make mistakes. We're allowing ourselves to go through the learning of it. We're allowing other people to receive other people's opinion, direction, guidance from our higher thoughts. Who knows?
Right.
This is and when we know that we are not stuck into the result, when we are so caught up in the result or the outcome,
we've talked about before,
then we are losing the whole 4 steps that you shared right now. We're losing the clarity of where we at and what need to be. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I agree with you. And the other thing I wanted to just say is that, again, the process is there. This is how the world was built. It was built, whether it's a blade of grass growing, us waking up in the morning, these 4 stages in their various shapes and forms are there no matter what. So if we're going to fight against it all the time, then we're going to feel that frustration and lack. And, yes, maybe you'll get through one process and you've gotten to the other side. So you feel how positive it is. But then most of the time you're feeling like you're always fighting against something. And also when you try and short circuit that process, sometimes people want to go from 1 to 4. Well, I have this idea that I don't need to do anything to manifest it. I just need to make a phone call and maybe that's true. But then, what ends up happening inevitably, and I've talked to so many people about this in business, that's the one where you think you had it manifested. And then 2 months later, the whole thing blows up. You thought you got it done. Why? Because you didn't go through the process that the world, literally the natural world commands us to go through. So we here at Pathfinder One-to-One want to not only help you embrace the process, but understand that it can be fun, right? And give you tools to help you see where you are in the process, to embrace those different aspects of it, to use the different processes that you're going through as a way to map out your day. Like, what do I need to work on today? That one's a little stuck. Maybe I need to give that a day. Maybe I won't push it today because it's in stage 3. Maybe I just need to let it sit there for a minute. Like, to give you that idea of how to manage your processes in a much better way. And I will tell you, as a CEO or anybody in C-suite, when you start to do that yourself, you see how it rubs off on others. As an entrepreneur, it gives you, when you're developing a new business, oh my gosh, how many times are you going to get caught in that moment of it's not working out? Instead of giving up, you can ask yourself real questions at that moment. I've done this with clients who are starting in a process where they've hit a wall, and it's like, okay, you've hit the wall. You're at this stage in the process. Let's ask yourself, do I really want this? Do I want this business? Am I happy with where it's at? Do I like where I brought it to?
Where is my passion that brought this idea in the first place?
Exactly.
What was the intention of the idea in the first place? So this is type of the question that we keep asking ourselves in that process.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And a lot of times, like with the example of an entrepreneur, that's the point where they say, I'm not going to spend any more money. Not because they don't want it to manifest, but they see that they're not happy about where it's at. And maybe I'm going to go back to the drawing board. So embrace the process, learn that it is a process that happens in everything in this world, including our bodies, getting up in the morning, doing the things that we're doing. Learn how to use the process to your advantage, and know that in each stage of it, there are really amazing positives and sometimes challenges. And you can, I don't want to say manipulate, but I will. You can manipulate what happens in those stages to your benefit if you're really aware of it.
Exactly. It's
All right.
such an amazing thing. It's so exciting. So exciting to go through it. When I'm excited when I know that I have, like, let's say the four stages, or I have 10 steps, or I have, like, for me, it gives me order and clarity. For someone else it's different, but I love those 4 steps, and I'm so happy that you opened this up, and because it brings me thoughts about the process I'm going through.
Yay!
So it's cool.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Well, as we share with you always, if you are interested in learning more about the 4 stages, or any more about spirituality and business, having a session with one of us is fun and very productive. You can find us at www.pathfinder1to1. That's Pathfinder, the number 1, TO, the number 1.com. We would love to hear your comments and feedback and thoughts about a process you've been through and how you managed to get through, because we found that as a community of business people and spiritual people, when you share,
Right.
you learn so much. You can also find us on Facebook at Pathfinder 1to1, and on Instagram at Pathfinder 1to1.
Exactly.
And we're also on all of your favorite, we're now recently on all of your favorite podcast platforms with this content. So we really hope that we've inspired you today. And if you like anything we had to say, please share with your friends, because we know that whether you're a business person, or just in a career, or just working, really, we spend over a third of our lives working. Shouldn't it be more rewarding, more fun, more exciting, and more fulfilling?
Thank you. I think you said it all. And
All right.
Have a wonderful week, everyone. We'll meet you in our next live.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you.